Hello, everybody. Hello, Svea. All good?
Hello, from my side, everything is okay. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And I'd like to thank you, first of all, for accepting the participation in the podcast. And as I normally start, I ask people to introduce themselves a bit and also explain how they got into the SAP world, and especially in this topic with SAP community. How did you get here?
Yes, of course. So thanks so much for inviting me. Yeah, I'm an SAP Community Advocate, means I'm a part of the SAP community team, working with people to get them on board in the SAP community and also to assist a little bit around SAP community topics. And I'm in the team, I guess it was 2016. Yeah, it might be 18. I'm not really sure, honestly. And before I was already within SAP because I joined SAP in 2000. It's a long time ago. And I had, of course, in these years, more than 22 years, I had several different roles. I moved from several different buildings. If someone knows the SAP world, there are so many buildings in Germany. So I think I had, I don't know, more than 10 or 12 different managers and so many different buildings I was used to. And I worked as an executive assistant and personal assistant and so on for 17 years. And then I got the opportunity by chance to join the SAP community. And that was really cool. So I not only that I changed my role from being an assistant to a kind of project manager or an advocate. Yeah, I also like to be within the SAP community.
No, that is great. Very interesting. Yeah, and quite a change of topic. Working with executives and then working with the community members. I guess it's quite different. The demands and the topics are not exactly the same.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so it felt like coming into a huge family. And that was actually my experience when I joined the SAP TechEd in Barcelona in 2017. So there I got in contact with all the SAP mentors, for example, and I saw how passionate they are working with SAP and around SAP topics. And it was like really, like, as I said, like a big family. And that was such an eye opener for me seeing those passionate people. And was like, okay, that's the place I want to be.
Yeah, that is right. I can say also about the Brazilian community. In lots of people they create blogs, they create content, provide answers. In the past, the people were crazy about the points, and now they have the kudos in the new community groups. So yeah, people really like to contribute, and they see the results. I think one of the big things from the community is that we can have conversation and discuss topics that normally within a project we don't have the chance, because then we are just one consultant, one area. In the community we can find our peers, and then we can have conversations that don't exist elsewhere. And that was for me one a very important thing. I also started with the community a long time ago. Before even I started working in SAP, I was always searching things in the internet around, and then I always found some guy replied it here, and then I created one profile. But for me, it took years until I contributed the first time. I think it took me like 2 years until I started my first contribution. And I don't know
Okay.
if that is that common also in other areas, but I guess lots of people they watch content, they consume content, but they are not creating new things or enjoy or maybe participating so much.
Yeah, that can be right. And I guess it's always the own thinking about ourselves, right? So we think we are not eligible to write a blog post. I thought the same, and then I just simply wrote something. And the second thought might be, what do I have to say? So maybe people do not really know what they want to talk about, and it's so easy. I mean, you just can write something about your project experience. So what you, or maybe you presented something, put it in a blog post. Why not? So it's easier than someone would think before they are going to start. So I think that's a typical way of being part of the community to start consuming And yeah, of course, we also as community advocates, we would like to get people to get more active, so that because they also have a lot of knowledge, and why not sharing this?
Yeah, that is true. And I see that you guys, you always come up with some challenges, some activities, some different things during the year, events as well, to get more people, to make people participate in YouTube calls or in community calls, other activities. So how are you coming up with these ideas, and what do you think that the ones that are the best ones, or that get most attention from customers, consultants, and so on?
Yeah, so I think those coding challenges, they are really successful because it helps people to understand the coding when they're doing it on their own, and then they can share their experience with this. So I found those really successful. And yeah, so how are we going to come up with those? Sometimes so we are doing brainstorming within the team to come up with new challenges, but also the product teams from SAP approach us. They are already part of the community. They have topic pages. They have frequently bloggers. They are answering the questions. So they want to engage with the community members, and that's the reason why they come up with such challenges. Yeah, and I think those are yeah, those are the best.
You're right. I am wearing here a jacket that I got from one of those challenges from the data intelligence team. And I
Cool.
always try to convince people to participate. So, yeah, even if you don't know the topic, just go there. You might learn something, and you might end up with a small prize, small gift. So, it's something that can bring people in. That is really sure. And we learn a lot, and outside our normal domain area as well. I think that's another important aspect of the community. When we are working in projects, we are in our domain area. But in the community, we can see different topics and get to know new solutions from SAP, new products, and also new ways of doing different scenarios in a system, for example. That is part of being in the community.
Yeah. So also you need some time to explore all the tags we have in SAP community. So when you can just try out and find a new tag which you normally wouldn't have a look into this. Yeah, and then you can expand your knowledge, right? I mean, it's all about learning. It's all about learning all the years, all the days. You never learn. You never stop learning. I meant.
That is a really good statement, because that is so true. It's in all areas, but especially when we are talking about IT, things are changing, and it's commonplace to say they are changing very fast, because they are. And the community is a place where we can get to see these changes and see how things are evolving. Also, the community evolved a lot and changed a lot over the years. When I first joined, it was still called SDN. Then it
Yeah.
moved to SCN. Then we had the 1DX. At the time, I was still at SAP. So I was just seeing it from the inside. And then later
Ah,
on, I left SAP. And then, I started to participate just as an external member. But in
I
the
didn't know
past,
that.
yeah,
Cool.
in the 1DX, I was not actively participating. I just saw some tests. I did some beta testing. I provided some feedback on some of the things at the time. And later on, as a consultant, then I really participated as external. And then I see even more value, because when I am an employee, I'm providing something I can discuss with customers, okay? But when you are external and then you need to find more information about certain thing and you don't have the internals, then
Mm.
it's even much more value.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really interesting. All the to see the whole development, and yeah, of course, we always need to change because we need to go with the time, as you mentioned before. And yeah, so I think how the community is nowadays with the platform and so on, it's really cool. You have so many opportunities like questions and blog posts, as you said, the groups are new, and also the profile. I like it that the profile is able to be personalized, so that you can share this information you want to share with everyone. So sometimes I'm missing those on other platforms to personalize the profile a little bit.
I remember when I started, it was a big forum. It looked like an old internet forum. And then we got over the time some blogs and even more blogs. And then it really evolved to have lots of different things. And one thing I'm curious to see is like, how do you see, or SAP sees the role of the community? Because now we have like YouTube, LinkedIn, Discord, Telegram, people are sharing in Instagram. So there are hundreds of different ways of interacting with the community. It's all part of, let's say, SAP community. And how you see the role of the community in the middle of all these social media and different kinds of ways of interacting.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think so sometimes when I talk to people outside of the SAP world and they are asking me what I'm doing, I say it's like a SAP LinkedIn or SAP Facebook. So that I think we have a larger offer, I would say, because of this Q&A and the blog post and yeah, all these different areas, the topic pages, for example, where you can find all this information. So it's, would I call it a social media platform? I'm not really sure, but it's definitely, it's specifically on SAP topics. So in LinkedIn, you find everything. In Facebook, you find everything, every topic. It's sometimes hard to find. It's sometimes hard to follow. And this is really cool in SAP community, because when you follow topics, when you follow text, you got these notifications specifically. Sometimes I do not know, why did I get this notification on Twitter? I even do not know this person. Yeah, and this is in community much better. So you get the notification from the people you follow, and we even have an activity stream where you really see who did what the last, I don't know, 24 hours or days or so on. So I think I would not really compare those, and it's more specific to SAP. And of course, with 3 million users, we are the biggest external platform around SAP topics.
Oh, that's a lot of people. Because that is one of the things I always see with like LinkedIn, Twitter. You post something, but then it's really hard to find this content later. It's active during a certain period of time when the post is being like impulsionated by the platform, but later on it goes like into a place that nobody can find. And when we have blogs, a black hole, exactly. When we have blogs in SAP, it's different because we follow the tag, we know how to find it. And one of the things I try, and I see that now lots of people do, they create the content, they post it like a blog, the platform, and they use this media to impulsionate, to stream it to different people. But the host of the content is really in the platform. And I like that because then it's really centralized. If you try to find a PPT about SAP in LinkedIn, it becomes a nightmare. It's really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree here. And of course, why not connecting both, right? So you have a presence in Twitter maybe, and you want to share the information you posted in the community. Why not? It's compatible. It's possible.
Cool. And I think talking about the features of the community, one thing that started, let's say not recently, but latest new feature is the groups. So these groups, they really started to grow. I see that I tried to see today, and there are now lots of different groups, not only location-based, but also content-based. I'd like to hear a bit more about the idea of the groups and how do you see these groups in the rest of the community, how they should interact, and what was the idea that brought this to the community?
Yeah. So the idea was that the community, we didn't have a fast collaboration or discussion platform. We have the blog post where you can comment, of course. We have the Q&A where you also can answer and comment, but how to really flexibly and fast interact, that was difficult. So we do not have such a platform within SAP community. You know, there are always different backend systems behind the blog post, of course, topic pages. So these are different technical backend systems. So we were searching for something where to collaborate fast and easy. And that's the reason why we founded these groups. And we want to distinguish here a little bit because they are not product focused. So there are more, as you said, location based. So we want, for example, for those location based ones, we want to give the people the opportunity to connect with the local peers, to organize themselves via the groups, the location based groups, and also, yeah, if there are any events, for example. So all these kind of things, these are the purpose of the location-based groups. Then we have interest groups. That means we try to bundle those people who have the same interest, like SAP Women in Tech, for example, or Enterprise Architecture. These are the two main which come to my mind, but there are many more, of course. And then we have also activity groups like SAP TechEd, and there is that. So that's a yearly event, and we have a dedicated group where you can find content, exchange on questions all around SAP TechEd. So these different things, and of course we have also partner groups, but those are only accessible to partners, to SAP partners, and also SAP employees. Yeah. So that was the idea, that you can have a fast interaction with other community members.
Okay, I think it makes sense, because in the end, blogs, they look somehow formal outside the groups. I know lots of people that don't want to create a blog because then, okay, I might expose something, or I might not be the content expert that I think I am, or things like that, or even to create a question. So the group should be a bit more, let's say, informal, so we can have quick and interactive communication there, not like it should be more like Instagram or Telegram, and less like other platforms where I really have to show a profile. It's not like LinkedIn or Xing, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you write a blog post, you have a structure, right? You start with a kind of introduction and the main part and the closure, all these kind of things you do not need when you just start discussion and write something. And what we also have are off topics. The coffee corner, for example, is off topic. So it doesn't mean it should be about SAP, can be about everything. There are recipes, there are hobbies, there are photographs, whatever. It's really cool to also for new community members to check out the coffee corner. So that's always a good start to interact with others. And by the way, I forgot to mention, you also have a location-based group. So what are you doing in this one? Sao Paulo.
Yes, that is a pretty new one. Yeah, it was published like 2 weeks ago. I started to create some content. I already invited some colleagues. I can already invite more people to participate. And the idea is that, for example, in the future, we are thinking about organizing a new Inside Track Sao Paulo. So it will be another content for the group and another way to engage people to the group as well. And we want to have some more events maybe next year. There are lots of things that can be done with the groups, and also to share just small updates from the authorities. Brazil is a very funny country, and everybody that is working with ERP is all of the time involved with legal topics. There was a legal change, there is a new tax, there was a legal change, there's a new electronic document. So these kind of small things, or sometimes even the government system is down and nobody's able to authorize an invoice. So these are kinds of things that could be interesting also to be discussed in the group. And that is one of the ideas we have. And I'm trying to recruit new members, because I think it's interesting. It brings some value, and it has this social aspect, because in the end, we are all people. So it's not a robot-based interaction, so it's people-based interaction, much
Absolutely.
Better.
Yeah, so if you listen to this one, join the Sao Paulo group, subscribe to it. Then you are part of it, and then you get also notifications if there is something new in the group. And one advantage you didn't mention is you can even write in your local language. So if you're not so familiar in writing in English, no worries, write in your local language.
That is true, and that's a very good aspect. I remember that in the past there were discussions, if content should be English or not, but I think at a certain point, SAP really decided that it was interesting to have multiple languages, and it's a great feature. We are talking here in English, but in Brazil, there is a lot of people that don't speak English as a second language. So it's always interesting to have this possibility. And then it's really also more than first, because some people also didn't have the opportunity to learn English or are not working with international based projects. So it's very good to have this opportunity. And it brings more people, makes it a bit bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, it's more easier, of course, today to just copy a website and translate it. But it's about the writing, right? So when you translate a text and you just copy it, you're never sure, because you do not know the language, if this is really correct. So sometimes there could be funny outcome when you translate something.
Yes, machine-based translation evolved a lot, but it's still not perfect, and I think it will never be. It's difficult to emulate the human mind to understand some things that sometimes are between the lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Some more I was thinking about, because you just shared the Sao Paulo link. So if there's so these are location-based groups per city. So is anyone listening to this podcast and says, oh, but I live in Sao Paulo, for example. Yeah, contact me. Maybe we can create a group for you as well. So we have, of course, a little process behind that, but it's a chance. So you can always reach out to our general email address, community@sap.com, and we are going to connect you further.
No, that's a very good advice. In Sao Paulo, it's easy because there is a lot of people involved with SAP there.
Okay, good. Good that it came into my mind.
I lived there also, because that is the place where SAP has the labs in Brazil. So that's a very well-known now place in Brazil. It was, let's say, a small city, but most of people that hear about SAP in Brazil know there is this lab in Sao Paulo.
Good.
Good. Okay, we talked about the groups, and that is something that is already released. So I would like to ask, I know you cannot disclose confidential information, but what comes to your mind, like 2023, 2024, which direction is the community going to?
Yeah, I think it's still the groups, because we want to establish this a little bit further. And as many of you may have noticed, we are still on the beta version with the groups. Also there need to be some improvement. Like at the moment, you have a second display name in groups and so on. So that's also people are hesitant to create another profile. But actually, it's not another profile. It's with the same user, but it's another display name. So this is something I think we are going to work on this. But yes, absolutely no idea on the timeline. So there are also some improvement requests. There is the influencer tool where people can submit their proposal for changes. Also there, we are going to adapt our platform a little bit. And we are really keen to get more groups within our group's platform, more locations. There are a lot more in the making, which I hope to publish soon, or we publish soon. And I think we want really to increase the visibility of those, and also the knowledge. Sometimes there are still people who didn't recognize that we have now the groups, even it's in the SAP main menu, right? So there we would love to do some more engagement work.
Oh, that's cool. I have many profiles in SCN, and I think this display name Esther1 is just for me another one, because I have one from my former time before SAP. I have another one which was the SAP one. I have one as a partner, and I have another personal one after SAP. So I have lots of different profiles.
Yeah, and I mean, when you want to be part of any other social media platform, and if you want to like something, if you want to comment, you need a profile. So that's nothing new, right? So that's the same here. You can consume all the content in the community without any profile. You can read everything. It's open. But if you want to like, if you want to follow, then you need a profile. But that's usually with every other platform as well.
Yeah, that is true. And I think it's also a challenge. I know that you already have, you said 3 million users. That is a very, very big figure. Yeah, lots of people. But I am also trying always to get new people. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody that is in the verge of creating a profile or already saw things but never really logged in with their user and participate? I think that this first step maybe is the most complicated one. Once somebody goes in and start to participate, they see value and they keep participating. But I think this first movement is still the most complicated one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never got to force anyone doing something. Not my husband, not my children. So also not community members or potential community members. You need to convince them that it's really, as you said, a great way to, and here I recommend to start with consuming content. So it's a great way to consume content. And I think there will be a time then you say, now I also want to write. So I hope that's kind of naturally. But yeah, if we talk about getting more people into your group as well, it's always best to talk about this very often, to share this with others, maybe in the next meetings, maybe in your signature. Just add the link there that people can easily join that one. And yeah, the encouragement to have impact when they engage within the community. I think that's all about. And they can also, you can just build up a little bit of your own brand. So you can let everyone know where you are an expert in, and then people will refer back to you. And like, there are so many, like our influencers, SAP champions, SAP mentors and so on. So they are so well known in the community because over the years, they were just visible and built their brand. And that's easy. And that can be, of course, an advantage.
That is true. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, first time I met some SAP mentors in one inside track, it was like, wow, it's really cool. I saw their names lots of times in the community. Now I get to meet them. And I remember in the past, even in the posts, there was this kind of tag a mentor, that some people just spotted a mentor in an event and then took a picture and posted it. That was also very cool. But now it's more difficult to find mentors with the pandemics. There were not so many events to find.
That's right as well. But I think you feel kind of being part of something when you just go with it, right? So when you found someone, you tagged them, and it got a lot of attention. So it's for me, it always felt, yes, I'm part of this, and I like this very much.
Cool. Yeah, I remember. I'm not sure if it still happens, but in the past, even in like in the TechEd, people had the photos in some booths or in the main screen. Oh, these are community members, like topic leaders, things like that.
Yeah.
Some people really worked hard to be in those positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if this has been the same this year at TechEd. I do not know. But in the past, yeah, you're right. It was really cool.
Yeah, that was always nice to meet some people. I think on my last one, I think it was also like 2017 before the pandemics. Well, but let's see what happens in the next years. Maybe more tickets, more events.
Yeah, maybe we can focus on those as well to get more visibility on events again. So this year actually we met at SAP Inside Track in the Netherlands, right? So that was
that's right.
Cool to be back and also to see all these members. And I had really the feeling like, oh my God, 2 years ago, that was the last time we met, and now we are all back again. I loved it. It was just fantastic. How did you find it at SAP Inside Track? Did you like it as well?
Yes, the event in the Netherlands was really good. I didn't participate in the Inside Track for a long time physically. I think I was in Valencia the last time, but it was also 1.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's always good. I like to participate. When I was in Brazil, I used to participate always in São Paulo, and I also organized one in Joinville, I think. And these kind of events, they didn't happen in the last years. I think this year we had basically one in Brazil, but I'm sure that next year we will have more. And I think it's really, really nice to meet more people. I already met things that are today my colleagues. I met people that then I worked in later on in projects, I met customers. I think it's a very, very good opportunity to discuss with other peers. Normally, our days are really packed. We are doing something in a project, very focused, and we don't have this time. We don't find these people. We don't interact. And if you are like a senior consultant or a junior consultant, there is no better way to learn than interacting with somebody else that has complementary knowledge. I think that's a great thing from the event and from the community in general.
Yeah, because networking is always a big part of it, right? So there are the sessions and so on, but you can always pick what you want, and then the rest of the time you can spend with networking. And imagine you are in contact with a person via the SAP Community platform for 3 or 4 years, and then you met this person and this person in person. It's just cool. It's just perfect.
Yeah, that is true.
And the relationship changes.
Yeah, that is correct, because I knew some mentors from community posts, but after I talked to them in some events, then we really got much closer. And nowadays there are some mentors that are my friends. I talk to them regularly about SAP and other topics. So it's always nice to meet new and nice people.
Yeah. Also during the pandemic, I like this so much that so many community members who were organizer of Stammtisch, Inside Track, and so on, that they just transformed it into a virtual meeting, so that I had so many contacts throughout these 2 years, and that was really, really helpful, because I mean that was strange for us all in the world. So that idea of having not physical events anymore but virtual, that helped, and we really had nice meetings during these years. And this year it turned back to be physical SAP Stammtisch, for example, these smaller meetups where you just meet for a drink or so and talk about SAP related topics or off topics. But SAP Inside Tracks, we didn't have so much this year, only five or 6 in person. So hopefully there will be more next year. It seems that it's getting better and better in the world. So I cross my fingers, and I hope to see a lot of community members on site next year. Wherever it is on site, wherever it is.
But I think that's also an interesting topic, because some people, they really don't know how they start an Inside Track, or they think, okay, we need somebody from SAP, we need a mentor. So I guess it is much easier, because I already did that, so I more or less know. But how is your opinion about the Inside Tracks, and who should be organizing this kind of event, or who can organize these events?
Yeah, it can be organized by everyone. So if you have already an existing community and you are pretty sure that you will get a lot of participants, then go ahead and just do it. Or if you think you want to establish something, then we always say start smaller, like with a little meetup, however you want to call it. You can call it SAP Stammtisch. I mean, that's a German phrase. It's more a regular table, but you can also call it meetup or whatever you want. And to establish a little community so that you get more people on board, because the SAP Inside Track is a little bit more work, because you need to fill the agenda, you need to have a place to host it, and maybe facilitate all these kind of things, food and beverages. So an SAP Inside Track can be really organized by everyone. It's finding a good place, and maybe having also some sponsorships, because those events are oftentimes low cost or no cost actually. And also for the agenda, you can keep it a little bit more simple and just call for speaker, write a blog post and ask everyone who wants to contribute, who wants to travel to us and wants to give a presentation. So when it's like in Europe, it's more easier. Then people can also travel. Like I traveled to Netherlands, and we gave there a presentation as well with my colleagues about SAP Community and the updates. So then you do not even need to initiate the agenda. You just collect and then you build it. That's all. I mean, then invite people, and it's not difficult. So it's and you do not need, as you ask, you do not need a mentor. You do not need something from SAP. So we are happy to support in every way. So if you need any support, let us know. You can always reach out to us, as I said, via the community email address, or also when you follow me in SAP Community, you see here my profile name here at the top. You can follow me, I can follow you back, and then we can exchange direct messaging. So it could be easy. And yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity to exchange knowledge and to network.
Definitely. I just remember I went to another one this year. I went to Poland. It was also a very good one. I had never been to Poland before. So it was my first time in Poland.
In Warsaw, yes. Right? Yeah. I wanted to be there as well, but I wasn't able to.
Yeah, I was there. It was really good, very well organized. And yeah, I think it's important. I met some very nice guys there that I kept in touch. So that's another very interesting aspect. I think it's the social thing. Yeah, we are human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have a presentation over there?
Yes, I presented the topic about SAP DRC, it's a reporting and compliance tool. It was very, very cool. And then I got also to know something about Poland. I got a small book as a gift from Poland. Nice. Very nice one. Nice. It was very well organized by the team there. And we really felt, okay, it's a great event.
Cool.
And everybody was happy to participate.
Yeah, that's great. And did you write a blog post about it?
I think I did. That cool. I am not sure, but I think I did. Yes, I wrote one. Normally when I go, I write a blog post and I make some comments. I post the presentation online. I think one thing is the day of the event. I like when they are really, like they say, just physical event. We go there, we talk to people. It's not a streamlined online all the time for everybody. Later on, we can put the presentation online, but then we don't have this obligation to do it for the online audience. I like to be there, just have fun, talk to people, interact, and later on, okay, we share the content and we keep in touch. That was very good. I like this way normally.
Nice. Sounds really good.
Yeah, organizing with online transmission, live transmission, it's much more work and much more complicated. And then I think it's always good to have a simple and working.
Yeah, and have more people on board to get support and not to do everything on your own.
Yeah, that is true. And one of the things I normally ask people that participate in the podcast is, do you have something that you learned in your career that you would like to share with your young version? That's something that would make your life easier, something that you know today that you didn't know when you started?
Yeah, I would say learn English. I mean, everyone in Germany, for example, learns English at school. But when you do something else in the meanwhile, after school, you might forget it. I think time changed now. So when you are studying, you need to give the presentation in English and so on. So that helps. And I definitely say learn English, because then it's easier. So when I started in 2000 at SAP, that was difficult to remember all these English, and of course over the years. And it's also depending on if you work in a global team or not. So this is something I think I have learned. Anything else I feel really comfortable with. So I feel blessed that everything worked out very well for me. I think it's just a language.
Okay, no, that's an important one. And so that is something I usually mention to people, because, for example, in Brazil, it's not that common to have fluent people speaking English in senior positions sometimes for projects. Nowadays, younger people, they are speaking much more English. It's much easier. So we find junior consultants or trainees with English, but sometimes we don't find senior consultants with English. And it's a pity. It's very important, not only for your development, but also to be able to integrate into the world and know more and get to know fantastic people in other countries.
Yeah, that's right. True. Now I have to roll back a little bit to the SAP Inside Tracks, because of course, there are so many people from different locations come together, and there are oftentimes not native speaking people. And this is also really helpful if you want to start presenting. So it's of course also presenting skills you should develop throughout your whole career. And if you want to present in front of the audience, an SAP Inside Track is the greatest opportunity because, as I said, not everyone is a native speaker, so you can also make some mistakes. And it's a casual environment, and people are there not to judge you, but people are there to get your content, your knowledge. And even if you are not a perfect speaker, it doesn't matter. So also a great advantage of an SAP Inside Track.
Yeah, that is true. I saw lots of people that gave the first, let's say, public speech in one SAP Inside Track. So that's a good hint as well.
Yeah, same with me.
And okay, I would like also to ask you if you have some final remarks. We are almost 40 minutes, so really time flies when we are having a conversation. Yeah. But I would like to know if you have final remarks, some recommendation. I always tell people to follow the community, to participate, create a profile. Svea is not demanding, but I demand, so people could just create a profile. It's easy. Follow Svea and participate in the discussions. Follow the community posts. We have this kind of challenge or event with the 24 posts now in December.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great that you mentioned this. So 24 Days of Community is currently running. We are on date 14. So much more content to follow. And also there are some nice activities behind those doors. So check it out, maybe some surprises. And that's all for sure. What you already said, follow us and the community and the topics, but also have a look into our YouTube channel. So in the YouTube channel, we have the SAP community calls you mentioned already. So these are live streams with oftentimes product teams from SAP to get more updates. For example, recently I hosted the SAP Build. There were three calls in a row. I hosted 2 of them about all these product changes around SAP Build. Then in the YouTube channel, there are also different other videos, the SAP Community News, where we as community advocates share some information, and also some little how-to videos, so tip in a minute videos, so where you can really see how can I now create a profile in groups? How is this possible? Check out the YouTube channel and have a look into the videos, because sometimes the video is explaining more than reading something. Yeah, I think that's all. And you see, I'm already in Christmas mood. So I wish, of course, every one of our listeners nice holidays wherever you are based and whatever you are celebrating. If it's not Christmas, it doesn't matter, but it's a time of the year where you can reflect, where you have maybe the time for some relaxation, some time with your family, some time off. So all these I wish to you and to all our listeners. And I hope I see everyone somewhere in the SAP community.
That's true. So thank you for the kind words, and I think it's a good way also to end the conversation. So everybody enjoy the end of the year, have some time with family, friends, relax, because we have another year of challenges in 2023. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.